The first time you buy a stock, you don't tell anyone. Not because you're embarrassed, because you're not sure yet what you've done. You just moved real money into something you only partially understand, and some part of you knows the difference between understanding an idea and understanding a risk. Level 1. $500 account. It started with a video. Someone explained compound interest on a whiteboard, and you watched it twice. Then you opened a brokerage account on a Tuesday night after dinner. You funded it with $500. Money you'd been moving between accounts for 3 months, telling yourself you'd invest it when you understood it better. You never understood it better. You just got tired of waiting. You buy 3 shares of something you've actually heard of, a company whose product you use every day. That feels like research. It isn't research, but it's where everyone starts, and that's fine. Because the first lesson of the stock market is not about tickers or charts. It's about what it feels like to have skin in the game. Your phone is open more than it used to be. You check the app before coffee, you check it in the bathroom, you check it during a conversation with someone you like and feel briefly guilty about that. The position moves up $11. You feel it in your chest. The position moves down $9. You feel that differently. That feeling, that asymmetry, is the first real thing the market teaches you. Losses feel heavier than equivalent gains feel good. You didn't read that in a book. You feel it in your body the first week. The academics call it loss aversion. You call it Tuesday. You end your first month up $23. You don't withdraw it. You barely notice it. What you notice is that you started paying attention to things you used to scroll past. Earnings reports, Federal Reserve decisions, a company announcing a product, and your brain immediately asking, what does that do to the stock? Everything has been switched on. You're not sure yet whether that's a gift or a problem. Level 2. $5,000 account. 11 months later. You've added to the account every month. Not a lot, enough that it mattered. The balance is $5,200, and you've started using words like portfolio and allocation without feeling like you're pretending. You still hold mostly what you started with, but you've added a few things. An index fund because someone told you to, a tech company because you believed in it, one speculative position you made because of a Reddit thread at midnight that you don't fully want to admit to. At this level, you make your first real mistake. Not a losing trade, something worse. You sell your best position because it's up 30%, and you're scared it'll go back down. 3 months later, it's up 90%. You watch it from the outside. This is the lesson that cost you nothing financially, and everything psychologically. You didn't lose money. You lost the courage to stay in something that was working. And you'll spend the next 2 years trying to understand the difference between taking profit intelligently and flinching. You start reading. Not the Reddit threads anymore. Books. Actual books. You find one that changes the way you think about what the stock market actually is. Not a place to get rich fast. A machine that transfers money from the impatient to the patient. You reread that sentence 4 times. You are not yet patient, but now you know that's the thing you're building toward. Level 3. $25,000 account. 3 years in, the account grew partly through returns and mostly through consistency. You automated your contributions. You stopped checking the app every hour. Not because you have more discipline, because you've been through enough drawdowns to know that watching doesn't help. The market drops 19% in 8 months. You don't sell. That sounds simple. It isn't. Every headline tells you things are different this time. Every graph looks like a cliff. Your brother-in-law calls in November and tells you he moved everything to cash. He asks what you're doing. You say you're holding. He says that seems risky. You don't argue. You've had this conversation before. You know how it ends. 6 months later, the market is back. Your portfolio recovers. Your brother-in-law's doesn't, not fully, because he bought back in too late and sold again too early during the next dip. That's the lesson this level teaches. The market doesn't reward the smartest person in the room. It rewards the person who can sit still the longest in the right things. Patience isn't passive. It's the hardest active skill you'll ever build in this game. You also start to understand fees for the first time. What 1% in annual fees does to a portfolio over 25 years? You run the numbers. You move things around quietly. Nobody makes an announcement when they get smarter. They just stop doing the thing they used to do. Level 4. $100,000 account. You cross six figures on a random afternoon in March. You're at your desk. The number appears and you look at it for a moment and then you close the app. You don't call anyone. Not because you're trying to be humble, because you've realized no one around you has the right context for this number. $100,000 in a brokerage account sounds like a lot to people who don't know what it takes to get there, and sounds modest to people who understand where you're going. You exist between those two conversations now, and there's no comfortable way to be in either of them. Something changes at this level. The money starts behaving differently, not because of any external reason, because of what it means internally. This isn't saved money anymore. This is invested capital. It generates returns in a month that used to take you a year to save. The compound growth you watched on a whiteboard 3 years ago has become something you can actually feel. You also meet, for the first time, people who think about money the way you do. Not obsessively, precisely. They ask different questions than anyone else you know. Not how do I get rich, but what's my actual number? What does enough look like? How do I structure this so it survives me? These are better questions. You start asking them too. You think about your parents, how different their financial life would have been if someone had sat them down at 25 and explained compounding on a whiteboard. You don't say this out loud, but you think about it more than you expected to. Level 5, $1 million account. It takes longer than you thought and faster than it deserved. 7 years. The market helped. Your behavior helped more. The day you cross $1 million in invested assets, you are sitting in the same chair you were sitting in when you bought those first 3 shares. You've moved twice since then, but the chair came with you. You look at the number. You feel a low, stable satisfaction. Not euphoria, satisfaction. The kind that comes from doing a hard thing correctly for a long time. $1 million at a 4% withdrawal rate generates $40,000 a year without touching the principal. That's the number that actually matters, not the balance, the income it can generate forever. You realize the goal was never the number on the screen. The goal was the freedom on the other side of it. The ability to say no to things without explaining yourself. The ability to choose work because you want to, not because you have to. You're not fully there yet, but the door is no longer locked. You can see through it now. You stop telling people what the account is worth, not because of any rule, because you've watched how the information changes people. The way they recalculate you mid-sentence, the slight shift in posture, the careful rephrasing. You'd rather be seen clearly than seen correctly. Level 6, the number that stops surprising you. You're not a billionaire. Almost no one is. But you have reached the level where money has stopped being the most interesting thing about the problem. The portfolio generates more in a good month than most people earn in a year. You manage it with the same discipline you built at $500. That hasn't changed. The habits that got you here are the same habits you use now. The position size has changed, the patience didn't. You think about the first stock you ever bought. 3 shares, $500. The app checking, the $11 gain that felt like proof of something. You understand now what it was proof of. Not that you were smart, that you started. The market opened this morning. You checked it once. You'll check it once more tonight. In between, you lived your actual life. That's the part of the journey nobody shows you when you're staring at a whiteboard video at midnight with $500 and a question you don't quite know how to ask yet. Every level of this journey costs something. Time, mistakes you paid tuition on, the version of you who needed to check the app in the bathroom just to feel okay. But every level also gave something back. Clarity, options, the particular freedom of knowing that whatever happens next month, you've already built something that keeps working while you sleep. Somewhere right now, someone is watching a whiteboard video about compound interest for the second time. They're about to open a brokerage account. Their hand might shake a little when they press confirm. Tell them that's fine. Tell them it's not excitement. Tell them it's the beginning of paying attention to something that rewards patience more than almost anything else they'll ever do. And tell them to buy something they understand. Then wait. Follow for more stories like this.